Hello and welcome to Northern Ireland's first ever ethnic minority business podcast. I am your host Ruchira Rangaprasad, and this podcast has been brought to you by EMEEN. EMEEN is the largest national network of ethnic minority professionals from all across Northern Ireland that promotes entrepreneurship and employment. This podcast has been proudly sponsored by the British Business Bank and powered by Inclusive Entrepreneurship NI. Our sponsor, British Business Bank, is a government-owned economic development bank. Set up 10 years ago in 2014, its core mission is to drive sustainable growth and prosperity across UK to help transition to a net zero economy by improving access to finance for smaller businesses. This strive to break down barriers and help unlock potential, ensuring that people in smaller businesses have the same access to finance, no matter who they are or where in the UK they may be. We are delighted to have British Business Bank's Senior Manager for Northern Ireland, Susan McCain, from the bank's UK network team to tell us a bit more.
At British Business Bank, we really want to help unlock the potential, and we work every day to help both increase awareness and understanding around accessing finance, but also to ensure that smaller businesses are able to access that finance no matter who they are or wherever they are in the UK. So people and communities are at the centre of our work on diversity and inclusion, and through our funds, our programmes and initiatives like the podcast and events, we want to help break down those barriers and ensure that talented entrepreneurs have access to finance regardless of their geography, their social background, gender, ethnicity, disability or age. So backgrounds, businesses and journeys may differ, but there are similarities in the themes that are coming through in the podcast, from understanding the finance types out there, building that confidence to take that next step, how impactful building connections can be, and having those early conversations, and of course having that resilience. So it's a real heartfelt thanks to our amazing entrepreneurs for sharing their entrepreneurial journeys and their experiences of accessing finance to start up and grow their business here in Northern Ireland. I'm forever in awe of the entrepreneurial talent we have here in Northern Ireland. I know they will all be an inspiration to so many others on their entrepreneurial journeys, and they also inspire me to continue helping to break down those barriers. So whether I'm devising an event or developing a new initiative, they're always built on the foundation of diversity and inclusivity.
In this episode, we have a very special guest with us, the owner of Belfast's most loved and only African restaurant and retail shop, Mama Bobo. Hammy, welcome to the Ethnic Minority Business Podcast. Such an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. I would love to know, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? What has your personal journey been like? And then maybe just a little bit of a reflection on, what is Mama Bobo all about?
What Mama Bobo is all about. So I'll start with a little bit about myself. So as mentioned, my name is Hammy. So I was born in Nigeria. I lived there until I was about 10, and then I've grown up in Belfast. So I've lived in Belfast for most of my life. I went to Methody in Belfast, and I went to uni in Glasgow. Then I worked in London for a while, so that's why my accent is very mixed. A lot of people always like, place. I don't know where you're from. So my accent is mixed so much. It will go from Belfast, it will go to Nigeria, it will go to Glasgow. It might change a lot during this podcast. So if you're wondering why, that's exactly why. And then the Mama Bobo is two businesses. So we've got a grocery store, which we've had for quite a few years, and then we've got the restaurant now, which is the first Nigerian restaurant in Belfast. So that's nearly 1 year now. So yeah, grocery store, restaurant, both businesses are doing well, and grateful for both of that.
Awesome. Can you give us a bit of a high-level overview of Mama Bobo? Like, where did the idea come from? Like, what was that click in your head that went, okay, now I'm starting Mama Bobo? And more importantly, tell us the secret of the name. Why
The secret
Mama
of the
Bobo?
name. So Mama Bobo came from my mother. I would love to take the credit, but I think she deserves the credit. So Mama Bobo is my mom. So Bobo is my nickname, which literally just means boy. So when you're born in Nigeria, in my culture, it takes about 7 days before you get your name. You get your name on the 8th day after you're born. So in that meantime, you might have a little nickname, which is like Bobo, which is just, a boy. And then for some reason, it stuck with me because literally only babies get called Bobo. And then I'm one of the very few that name has stuck with me my whole life. And when you grow, you tend to get called by your first child's name or by the child that everybody knows. So my mom was just always called Mama Bobo. So she had the idea quite long years back because there was a gap in the market in terms of, well, she didn't start it as a business. She started more as a social enterprise where how come Africans or Nigerians are not able to get the food that they want, especially high quality food. At that point, we were traveling to Dublin to get food. People were literally going to London. They would bring food on the suitcase just to come back. And food is something that's very close to our heart, especially when you've moved away from your country. So she figured, why not start something? So she started something on a much smaller scale. And then during COVID, when I had lost my job and I was wondering what next I was going to do, she actually came up to me and said, you know what, why don't you do this as a proper business and see where it goes? And we figured, why not? And we tried, and luckily it went really well, was really successful. Then the restaurant also came as the same similar fashion where my mom is very well known for her cooking. She's always cooks in the house. We have people coming out of the house that's why we moved really far away. It still didn't stop people. Like we'd always have people at our house. So she was always very well known for cooking. And then we've got the grocery store. So I'm having people asking us every day, please open up a restaurant. Please. At that point, there's one takeaway in Belfast, but there was no restaurant. So and then I remember sitting one time, there was nowhere for us as a community to be able to come around and eat over a meal. I'm sure everyone loves going out for dinner, that's how a good way of bonding with your friends, bonding with a family, and we had nowhere we could do that over Nigerian food. And I just figured, why not? I've been asked nonstop for years now. It's obviously a massive, massive gap in the market. Yeah. So there's two. So one is from a business point of view, for sure. We all want to make money, but the other bit is also to empower and foster the community. And luckily, in the first year that we've done it, both of that has gone really, really well, and it's really helped. And the Irish people actually absolutely love the restaurant. And
can they handle the spice?
Yes, you know what? So I'll actually tell you a funny story because I've really learned never to judge a book by its cover. So in about the second week when we first opened, we've got this dish in one of our stores called suya. And suya is spicy. Everyone knows that about suya, whether it's on beef, whether it's on turkey. And I tried it the day before and it was really hot. Like I was getting milk. I was like, this is very, very hot. It's got 3 chilies on the menu because it's hot. So an elderly couple came in the next day and then they asked for the suya. And I was like, no, it's too hot. They were like, and I'm telling you, when I say elderly couple, they're like late 70s, like 80. And they insisted on it. So I went into the kitchen and I'm panicking. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna die. I'm gonna get sued. We've only just opened. We're gonna get closed down. I brought it to them. And when I came back, they'd eaten everything.
And they didn't complain about
it? They had eaten it. Like, I'm not even joking. I got the whole staff to come out and look at it. They had eaten every single thing. So since that day, I don't judge a book by its cover. And we're very lucky. The Irish people seem to really love the food. Yesterday, the restaurant was full. It was all Irish people. Yeah. Well, some people were visiting from Canada actually, but it was all non-Nigerians, I should say. So we're really, really grateful for that. And people seem to have really taken a hold of our food and willing to try. And I knew that would happen, but I never thought it would happen to this scale, to be honest with you.
Hammy, that's really amazing because I'm Indian myself, and I think, maybe something that Nigerian culture and Indian cultures share, or even cultures across the world share, is spice, or even just sharing food, Like, I think food is what brings us all together, 100%. And it's so cool that you've been able to bring that to a scale where it's not just a Nigerian community you're sharing it to, but everybody and opening those doors are so important. And, that's, I want to know, like, now you've opened these doors, people are accepting accepting, which definitely is an indicator for growth in your business as well. So where would you position Mama Bobo as right now? Is it a startup? Are you scaling up? Would you call it, like a business? Where would you position Mama Bobo? And what is the, what is the thought process behind positioning it that way?
We're 100% in the scaling stage. 100%. I think we've been lucky and we've been blessed to have, especially when we'll start back with the grocery store, very much start up at the start, just sort of serving a lot of customers. And then we've managed to gain quite a big hold of the customers, of the customer base. So where we've scaled the grocery store now is we were buying so much from other suppliers, so from London and Dublin, because obviously we're not that big, so we have to buy from them. So now we've started importing ourselves directly from Nigeria. Wow. Yeah, we're the first ever to do that in Northern Ireland. There's about 4 or 5 other grocery stores, but we're the only ones that bring in directly from Nigeria, and we're actually supplying other stores as well. So 100%, we're in the scaling stage where our current store is too small for us actually. Yeah. We're actually looking to move, but we've renovated and try and maximize the space. But it's too small for us, which is, I never thought I'd say that, because when we first started, there was so much space. Yeah. There was so much space, you could hear an echo. Wow. Whereas now it's too small for us. We've got more products than space. We're actually having to limit how much products that we're showing. So I think the next step for us is definitely growing into a bigger space, trying to create a supermarket, a one-stop shop for all Africans to be able to come in and buy everything that they need, but also for the Irish people, like we talked about, the people of Northern Ireland, to be able to come in and also try out our dish and try out the jollof rice, for example. That's a very, very popular one. So 100% we're in the scaling stage. With regards to the restaurant as well, I would say we're on the cusp of scaling. I think we're still part of the startup where I'm fairly happy with where we are. The sales are coming in, the business is functioning well, and then the plan is to obviously scale that as well and into maybe more stores. And there's still a massive gap, even in the Republic of Ireland, which actually has a bigger African population than here. There's a massive gap in London as well, in England as well. We had people come from Bristol 2.5 weeks ago, about 40 of them, and they were begging us, please come to Bristol. They were Nigerians that came on holiday over to Northern Ireland, which has been happening a lot. People love Northern Ireland, as they should. And they were begging us to come back. We don't have anything like this in Bristol. Or even if you have people coming from London, they associate, it's an African restaurant, so maybe it's going to have this sort of stereotype of being lower class. But when they come in, they see the vibe, they see it, because we obviously have a professional atmosphere in there, but we've also got a fun atmosphere in there. That's one, they never ever lose fun in life. So we've got a fun aspect in there as well. So a lot of people, so there is that gap still there in London. But I'm very happy where the restaurant is right now, because you've got to learn to walk before you can run. We had no experience coming into a restaurant, so you can't just start and immediately it's like scale. We've got to make sure we've got to get the process right in the restaurant. So we've been increasing our capabilities, and we're now actually about to come up with some very fancy mocktails that will be coming out next week as well.
Will I get to try some?
Sorry?
Will I get to try some?
Oh, you can try some. Come round to the restaurant. Yeah. We came up with some good concepts yesterday. So I think that's going to be a very exciting one as well. So we're improving things. We're scaling. One thing is that we're adapting. That's a very big one. You mentioned spice earlier on. Of course, if we want to tap into the market in Northern Ireland, we can't have every single thing being spicy on the menu. So we adapted with spice. One thing we did as well is the menu at the start was very short. I didn't expect this many people from Northern Ireland coming in. So now our menu is big in the terms of we've got descriptions for every food. We've got descriptions. So what is it that, because people are coming in, so what is it that you're eating? So those are some of the things we've been doing.
That's amazing to hear. I mean, obviously, Hammy, listening to your journey of growth, and even to just see how you've come so far into expanding your menus, expanding your grocery stores is really great. But let's dial back to the beginning.
Okay.
I'm sure, when you started off with Mama Bobo, it wasn't probably the easiest journey, or especially, one of the biggest challenges that we always hear about is finance. What did initial financing look like for Mama Bobo? were you bootstrapped? Were a lot of personal savings put in? And how did you even navigate through that initial financing, element? Because it's so hard.
Yeah.
What did that look like?
Honestly, it's God. We were very much our own money, even to start the restaurant. Because I'll tell you, which we would speak about as the conversation goes on, the mindset as a Nigerian is definitely the mindset of not to borrow. Use your own money. I think it's quite an ethnic minority sort of mindset. Use your own money. So we were very much using our own money. That's how we got to where we are. You bring in 5,000, you turn it to 7,000, you turn the 7,000 to 9,000, and that's how we started growing from there. So like I said, it was a long journey. And the other part, to be honest, was a lack of belief. The honest truth is, you believe as an African, as a black person, I'm not going to get this loan. I'm not going to get this finance. And that's the honest truth and what my thinking was back then. So you never went for anything. We never did, because it's not something we thought was actually like, who would actually give not only a Nigerian person money to also say you want to build a Nigerian business.
The imposter syndrome.
Yeah, 100%. And no one had done it. So there was there's no format, there's no thing to say, look, this is something that makes money, because no one else had done it. So how do I prove to them that, oh, by the way, no one else has done this, then we're going to do it, and you don't really even have belief in your own idea at that point, because again, no one had done it. So at this very, very start, 100%, it was our own money. And then as time went by, as I started to learn more about financing, start taking a bit more risk, start understanding that if you want to especially scale, if we wanted to stay where we were okay, to be honest, we were more than okay. But if we wanted to grow, wanted to scale, improve our capabilities, become the business that I believe it truly can become, 100%, we needed external financing. But that's where we started from, our own money.
That's a great segue into what I want to learn next, is that, yes, you've sort of been able to, figure it out yourself in terms of internal finance, initial finance, like, okay, maybe I could do this, maybe I could use savings and all of that. The world of external finance is a lot more complicated and a lot more challenging. And with Mama Bobo, both your restaurant and the store, how did you navigate through external finance, and how did you sort of understand that, okay, this is what I should be looking at in terms of external finance, this is where I should be going to?
To the first external finance we did was with British Business Bank. So I've actually had an amazing experience with British Business Bank, and 100% we would not be where we are right now without the British Business Bank, both in terms of financing and then that confidence that we talked about, which sometimes is just as important as getting the actual money. So I remember when the thought of external financing started coming in, and I think I typed it into Google, or maybe I think my mom might have even shared a link with me about the startup financing. So I clicked on it and I saw it said up to £25,000 for a new business or a new startup. And to be honest, like I said, the lack of confidence was still there at that time. I remember reading a statement that said, I think the average that gets given is £6,000, and only maybe 1 in 4 people get accepted, something along those lines. And then immediately I retreated, and I was like, oh my God, there's no way. If only 1 in 4 people get it, why would they give it to a black person that's trying to open up a Nigerian restaurant that everybody had said will not work? So I think initially I didn't apply immediately. I won't lie to you. I think it would be good to say, oh, everything went smoothly. Initially I didn't apply immediately, but I started thinking more about it. I prayed about it, and then for some reason God was really pushing me towards applying. So I started the application. I remember my mom just saying, look, we've got nothing to lose. Just try it. And that's when we got in touch with the startup loans. And I think it was a company called Enterprise Financing that was doing it. A guy called Chris Branton. So he sent in the application. I started doing it. It was a long application. It was a long, and because we were only my first time doing it, asking, going back and forth. And I won't lie to you again. I'd love to say it was such a smooth journey, but there were times I gave up. There were genuine times I went, why am I bothering over £6,000 that only 1 in 4 people will not get? And when they kept asking for it, there was a point where we actually had it on hold for about 2 months because I didn't have all the information. And I just sort of gave up on it. And then again, my mom saying to me, why don't you just try? And I remember I just said to myself, okay, give it one more go. And I got in touch back with Chris. I mind you to say, Chris was amazing through the process, so walked me through everything. And then we finalized everything. And I'll share this story with you. We reached a point where we were completely out of money, because at the same time as the restaurant being set up, we had put in like £40,000 of our own money. And that's when we were importing from Nigeria, again, first time doing everything. So all the cash was all at once. So we were out. I remember thinking, I'm not sure what we were gonna do. And I share this story because this is when everything changed. On Friday at 6 p.m., Chris calls me and he's like, you've been approved for the loan.
Wow.
I said, what? And he said, I know it's past, because mind you, working day finishes at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
But I know it's something you want to hear. And what he didn't realize was we needed to hear it in that time. And I asked him, how much? And he said, what do you mean? I said, how much have we been approved for? He said, you've been approved for everything. I was like, what?
Whoa.
Yeah. My mom went on the ground when I told her. Because when I told you that injection of that capital could not have been more timed. It couldn't have been more better placed. And that was the first time I had confidence, because I thought, if the British Business Bank didn't even come back with one single question, were able to give us the maximum when the average is £6,000, you must have something here. You must have an idea. And that's when I started having confidence in that, okay, we've got something here.
Wow, Hammy, I have literal chills after your story. It's so touching to just, like that injection of finance at the right time can be so life-changing. But, how did you make that choice of understanding that, yes, this startup loans that's provided by British Business Bank is the right thing for me? And, how did you also make the choice of understanding that, okay, if I get the loan, I'm going to use it on, say, food equipment or, say, in my retail shop in this way? How did you sort of, plan that journey out of, okay, this is where my finance is going to go to, and this is the finance that I want. Startup loans is what I want.
I think, to be honest, I think it started at the interest rate. The interest rate is great. If you compare, especially at a time when this was last year when interest was through the roof. I think we all know when mortgage was through the roof, like Bank of England, the inflation rate was through the roof. So I believe, I don't know if it's still the same, I believe it was 6% then. You're not getting better than that. That was my thinking. Well, it might be, I don't know, there's finance experts out there that might be like, oh, that's the wrong thing. But for me at that time, from what I had seen, that was quite early. So that's kind of where it started from. And I said, my finance journey, I'm very, very new to finance and learning about it. So that's where it started for me. And it felt easy to get the finance, or it felt easy to be given the opportunity. It felt less scary than maybe going direct to a bank where it's like, oh, bring all this. And because there was someone to walk you through the whole journey, that makes a huge difference. Because at that time, I couldn't have done it myself. At that time, I didn't know enough to build a proposal. And I don't know if you've seen the application, but they have everything built in. So even your Excel document, the formulas, your sales, the questions, everything is literally each is step by step, all built in for you. So for me, that was a huge reason why I picked it, because I didn't know enough. Now I can say I do, but back then I didn't know enough to be able to go do a full application by myself, what to include. So everything was done for you. It was almost like finance for dummies, which is what I needed at that time, because even when you're putting in your sales, when you're putting your cash flow projection, I was like, I don't even know what that was then. So that was the reason for. And then in terms of what we needed to put into, we knew at that time, so what we needed to put in. So first one was we were buying a previous business that was there. We bought all the equipment, the renovation as well. And like I said, a lot of it was also put into importing directly from Nigeria, which has transformed our business as well. So it wasn't the difficulty was never knowing what to put the money into. The difficulty was just getting the money in the first place. But honestly, it was a really amazing journey. It was almost like, having someone just walk you through everything was exactly what I needed at that time. And I hope they haven't lost that element, because it will help a lot of people as well.
That's very interesting to hear, Hammy, because what we usually hear is that the application process is the toughest because it's so long. You need to answer so many things that you probably don't even know. Like, people ask for cash flow statements. Maybe there are entrepreneurs who haven't even looked at a cash flow statement before. So, I know you've touched on this a little bit, with Chris helping you out, with you understanding the application process because it was so easy. But can you tell me a little bit more about what that application process looked like? And I'm sure you probably had challenges as well within that application process. What did those challenges look like? And, how was it made easy for you? And how did you just, navigate through those challenges?
It is a long application process. There's no denying that. It is long, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, each time I would go back to Chris, he would tell me what was needed. I think it would be a very different situation if it was fill out this whole application and then submit, which is where some of them are like. But this was fill this out, any questions, he would come back to me. I would if you check our email history, it's probably about 100. It's probably about 100 emails in there. So in that, and when you talk about the cash flow projections, it's not a bad thing to actually start thinking about those things. And there were many things that I had never considered. Like I said, when you start a business where I'm good with the sales and marketing side, finance is not my area of expertise. I've had to learn and develop that. So when you're then having to work out the cash flow projections, when you're having to work out, okay, what's going to sell, what's your margin going to be, so it was good to think about those things. And I maybe had it a little bit easier was that I had a lot of stats from the grocery store business. I've got an accountant already. We've got a great company statement. I've got an EPOS system that has everything in there. So getting sales and getting all of that was very easy for me. So I know that helped quite a lot. So yeah, 100%. It's a long process. It's a challenging process. And one we can even touch upon is I've actually been through 2 rounds of investment with the British, but I've just been through another one recently that White Rock Capital did, and that was also very, very long, but it allowed you to learn so much, like things you hadn't considered, things you hadn't thought of, but in the end, it was a great process, to be honest, and it, like I said, because someone was walking you through it, I don't think it could have been any simpler and any easier. And I'm sure we all dream of a day where there's just 10 questions and it's just fields and you just say yes, 100,000, here you go.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what we all want, but that's not how the world works.
I think that's really inspirational because even when I talk to people and I'm like, why didn't you apply for that fund or that grant? They go, oh, the application process is so long, but that shouldn't put you off.
No, it shouldn't.
It definitely shouldn't put you off, especially, if there are so many opportunities like that. But, obviously in your business, that initial injection that came in from the startup loan by British Business Bank made a huge difference. What did that difference look like? Like, what did that, finance help you achieve within Mama Bobo?
But to even back up a bit, I don't know if it sounds slightly controversial, but if a long application process is going to put you off asking for money, you don't need that money. Like if that's really what's going to put you off, then you don't need that money. So a few hours of work should not put you off going for the money. But the like I said, the money is to even go as far as saying it was life-saving or was life-changing at that point isn't so far off the truth, because ever since then it was so simple for us. Ever since then it was so simple, and I'll never forget that moment. Like I said, for me to remember the time he called me going to tell my mom, it's a moment that lives with me forever. And there's certain things that you'll always remember, and it's hard to even think right now of where exactly did we put the money into it, but knowing what that money did in general, because of course you have financial difficulty, but ever since then we've been all right. It's just been more about, okay, we want to scale. It hasn't been about survival. But at that point, it was definitely a little bit about survival. But yeah, no, we put the money to great use. We got the equipments we needed to get within the restaurant at that time. It helped with even knowing that for the first month or two, the staff's wages were covered. That's a big one. Going into it, we were able to get in a head chef, we were able to get in the right head waitress, the right staff. So that was a big thing, that the money, just to sort of give you that peace of mind, because you never know how the first 2 months was going to go, And as you imagine in business, you expect it to gradually, but minute one, it was bam. It was instant from minute one. So I didn't know that was going to happen. So the cash and the money from the loan still helped in that sense.
Wow. I feel like great things happen in your life when you least expect it. And I think, your loan coming in at that time is just a testament to how it all just, fell in place. But, at that time, yes, things fell in place. And even now, yes, you've gotten your second round of, funds from British Business Bank. But what next? I mean, you're obviously growing, your restaurants are being filled in, now soon I'm sure even I might, need to make a reservation a month in advance. Things are definitely escalating. So finance-wise, what are you looking at next? And how are you sort of drawing out that plan? What is the due diligence behind understanding what are the next steps in finance?
Funnily enough, I think our next step is probably the most exciting step next. It's still kept very much on the wraps. It is probably our biggest step yet. So the 100% will be funding needed for that, but not right now. And I don't know what type of funding that would be. Maybe it's still the same. Maybe it's more equity. Maybe it's more investment. But it's definitely gonna need the biggest injection of capital just yet. So it's a new idea that we have. It's still all links. It's still all food related. It's still all sort of what the business. You got the grocery store, you got a restaurant. They're all sort of feeding off each other, and they do link in greatly. So 100%. The next round will not be small. Well, it's funny looking at what we got in the past is small now, but it's definitely now there's a confidence there. Because sometimes my only regret is when I look back now is I think, why didn't I go for more last year? I genuinely am like, damn, I wish I had that confidence I have now to have gone for that. Now I feel like I actually limited myself. I wish I had believed in myself a lot more. So that will not happen again. There will not be any short of confidence next time. So like I said, with the grocery stores, it's to expand that. We've got the plans to expand the restaurant, and then we've got our plans for the new idea that we have as well. So 100% more financing will be needed. So if anyone wants to throw any money at me, I'll leave my email and contact number at the end.
So a lot to watch out for with Mama Bobo. New exciting things coming along. But that's great that now you've gotten that confidence to even expand into different ventures within Mama Bobo and things like that. But even like dialing back to understanding like your finance journey, right? I'm sure your finance journey wasn't just as simple as yes, I'm applying for the loan, yes, I got support, I got the money. No. Was there like, benefits beyond finance, in terms of have you gotten extra support? Have you gotten a little bit of like even business advice in terms of, hey, maybe you could be doing this in Mama Bobo, maybe that in Mama Bobo? And did that come from the bodies that you got the loan from? Like, was British Business Bank helping you that way? Yeah,
100%. I think I said at the very start of the interview, my process or what I've gone through with British Business Bank is amazing, and my feeling and my fondness of them. It's not all finance related. I think it's very easy from the outside for people to just think everything's about money. You're 100%, you need money, but you need knowledge, you need connections, and you need confidence. The one thing British Business Bank did was instill confidence into us. And one of the other ways that they did that was the CEO came to actually visit us. This would have probably been in November time, I believe, or late last year anyway, which was a huge shock. So there was an article that was done on the Belfast Telegraph, and believe it or not, I'm actually very publicity shy. So when I've always been in the background, and then this was the first time when they asked me, can we do a newspaper article on you? I said, I was really hesitant. But I thought, okay, if I want to get to where I want to get to, I've got to put myself out there. I asked them, where is this article going to go? I said, in the Sunday Live. I thought, great. No one's going to listen to that. No one's going to read it. Fine, go ahead. I didn't know that meant Belfast Telegraph. I did not know that. So about 2 days later, my brother, when it went live, my brother sent me the article.
Whoa.
I didn't read it for about 2 or 3 hours because I couldn't bring myself to look at a picture of myself to read. I was like, oh my, this is crazy. Everyone's going to know what I'm doing. Everyone's going to judge me. Everyone's going to do that. And then he called up after and said, off the back of it, the CEO's coming to Northern Ireland. They want to come see you. I said, see who? Me? What do you mean? And it's crazy where those little type of things. And they came with Susan as well, which I'll get onto. She's honestly tremendous, fantastic person. It's that instills such a level of confidence that you actually have no idea that the CEO of British Business Bank wants to come see us. I remember when I told my mom, she was like, "Are you taking it? Like, what are you talking about?" And especially in that early on stage, it's so important because that's what drives that, okay, maybe we have something here. Maybe, because sometimes you are confident, but sometimes your brain will also be like, what are you doing? Are you stupid? Are you crazy? No one's ever done this. There's a reason why. So yeah, he came to see us alongside Susan, and we had a very, very good chat. We shared some of our food as well, which I know they took to a meeting they had later, which months down the line, I met someone from White Rock up to say, I was at that meeting, I had the Fanta, the Nigerian Fanta, and I tried some of the food as well. And then since then, I'm still in good connection with Susan. So Susan heads up in Northern Ireland here, and she's linked me with so many great people. And she's the one that even linked me with the second round of funding, because I just said to her, look, we've got these plans. I'm not really sure what to do or where to look at. She's the one that directed me to where I needed to go to. So those type of things, and it might sound silly, but it's just as important as the capital. One, someone actually believing in you before you believe in yourself, and second, putting you in the right connections. Like, for me to even be sitting here doing a podcast is crazy, to be honest. So yeah, those are definitely some of the other things apart from finance that's been helpful.
100%. Actually, even when you're sharing this with me, one thing that I can remember is when I was chatting with Susan about this podcast, and I was telling her, yes, I'm interviewing Hammy and all of that. She told me that apparently during the Spring Festival in Belfast City Hall, she told me that she was there with her son and she saw Mama Bobo and she got so excited.
Yeah. We ran up and hugged each other. I was so shocked when I saw
things like that matter.
Yes,
it
does.
absolutely
It
matters.
does. It
And
does.
my next question, that I want to ask is, how did you know that the startup loan in British Business Bank is the right match for you, or not just that? Even if you make any finance decisions in terms of injecting finance into your business, how do you understand, or what is the process behind making that decision of, yes, these are the right people? Do things like that personal connection play a big role? And you did say yes, but can you elaborate on that a little more?
So I think the honest truth would be, at the start, you don't know that. At the start, I didn't really know who British Business Bank was, to be honest. So you don't really know that. You don't really know who they are. You don't really know the scale of who they are, whether they're going to be the right people. To be honest, the honest truth is you don't know. But now I do, through the journey, through the process. And that's because they've actually shown that they care. There's one thing to give people money, but to give people money and say, look, we believe in you. We think what you're doing is great. We just want to come and talk to you. Just talk to us, just chat to us. Even seeing Susan at the market, it was great. It's not like we sat and spoke about finance and say, oh, where's your financial journey at? No, it's like you're talking to someone as a person first.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And so 100%, it's difficult to say at the start, oh, they were the right people. But I think now I would 100% say they are the right. And I've signposted people to it. And even Susan, I messaged her a few months back because I wasn't sure what the new process is, because I had a friend who is wanting to start a business. She's a phenomenal businesswoman. And she said, well, she's been put in touch with someone. I said, no, go with this British Business Bank. I'll message and I'll find out what you need to do or where you need to apply. So immediately again, Susan's messaged me back, told me what I needed to do. I've just forwarded the email onto her and said, go apply, because I can signpost people to it because I've gone through it.
Yeah.
I know what it's done for me, and I know you've got the post-loan support, you've got the support, you've got, like I said, for even like the CEO to be coming to say hello to you, for the likes of the fact that you can even just message like the Susan. I know there's two Susans as well, there's another Susan as well. So for me it's very easy to signpost people into it, and I've maybe I've been too quiet about it. Like I said, I'm actually quite private when it comes to business, and I don't share too much. So I guess I spoke to say this is part of the reason why I'm doing stuff like this, is to maybe even shout it out more publicly and say, don't be scared to go for support. And if you're going for support with the British Business Bank, 100%, don't hesitate at all.
Absolutely. That's why I think at the end of the day, we're all just humans and we need those kind of connections. And even, the fact that you were able to signpost what, like all the positive things that you've gotten from British Business Bank, I think is also great, because at the end of the day, you do have to sort of forward those learnings and forward those sharing, which is really amazing to hear. But, I also want to understand, obviously the finances have been great for you, but in what ways have they been great? Like, what has these injections of finance helped you achieve? Like, what have you, been able to like hit and be like, yay?
So what I will do is I'll talk more about the second round of funding we've just went, because that's more recent and I can remember that. So we've just been through another investment round with Fracor Capital, and we're already putting that money to use. And that was also a great process. Again, it is long. It was about 2.5 months, 3 months, but it was a lot easier because I knew what to expect. And like I said, being long doesn't really bother me. And again, they were with us every single step of the way. But this time around, we've really put that capital into another round of importing from Nigeria. So what that does is, one, it increases your margin massively. So from our point of view, we've cut down margins as high as 70-80% on some products over 100%.
Wow.
Some products over 100%. For example, we buy the Malta Guinness, which is one of the most popular drinks, from our supplier in London. Is £15 for a box. When we get it from Nigeria, it's £7. Even I like to overestimate. It's lower than that.
Wow.
It's lower than that. So that's what that does is, now you're able to import things in. So that means we're now also doing wholesaling. Customers are coming to us because they know we're going to have the products. We're not running out. We're not having situations where we're relying on ourselves to have this product. We've got, if anything, we've got an oversupply, so we're ready to go at a moment's notice. So that's what that capital does. It's also, apart from going Nigeria, it's also allowed us to have more bargaining power with our current suppliers. So another example, there's this plantain chips. I don't know if you've heard of them, very, very popular. We bought that from a wholesaler, but now we've been able to go directly to the manufacturer. So that's the overall aspect. A lot of things we've had to be able to go directly to the manufacturer. Some things we now manufacture ourselves.
Wow.
We've started manufacturing things ourselves as well. So that's what the capital allowed us to be able to do. So we were able to go directly, like for the chips now, going directly to them, that reduced our margin. It was about, I think it's around 21-22% of this. So overall, that's what the capital has allowed us to have more bargaining power, able to import things and buy more and sell more.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's very impressive that, you were at a place where you used to buy things and now you're manufacturing them on your own. That's such a great landmark to achieve. And, you've obviously achieved so many of these highs throughout your journey in Mama Bobo. But, I'm sure it wasn't all highs.
Yeah.
There were definitely lows. And I would love to hear about, what were the lows like? What were some of the biggest challenges that you had throughout your journey from initial financing? And, more importantly, how did you overcome these challenges? And what pushed you to overcome these challenges?
So I would say the biggest challenge was cash flow. So we never had a cash flow problem. Like I said, back when it was on a smaller scale, you got an invoice for £10,000 from your supplier. You paid the £10,000. It was never it was no issue. But now, when you're going to the scale of, when you're importing from Nigeria, you're thinking 3 months ahead. You're not thinking, what am I going to need now? We're thinking, what are we going to need in 3-4 months' time? You're going to supply, you're ordering now in pallets. So all of a sudden, all our money was tied up. Then I've had to learn about cash flow. That's the first time I'm having cash flow issues. And I'm like, I need this amount to pay this supply. Or there's always a few times where every 2-3 months, we need stock all at the same time. That's where that starts getting a bit tricky. It's not necessarily about having the money or not having the money. That's never been an issue for us. We're lucky, sales is always good. But the question is, you now need to go to 4 suppliers at the same time. That's where the challenge is. And I won't lie to you, it was very tough because, like I say, it's a new experience for me. I'm very much learning. I'm not a seasoned professional or anything. So that was tough. That was tough when it's like, I think every business has gone through the business of, okay, how am I going to pay my staff? Paydays in 3 days. I've just had to pay all these suppliers. I've got to pay staff. This happened 2 months ago. on payday was when we had to pay 4 suppliers, and I had to do payday. It's tough. You know, how do you do that? How do you navigate that? But to me, that's the blessing of being in business. You start learning how to adapt to things, how to think on your feet. How can you have that problem and sleep 8 hours? That's the trick to life. Can you still sleep? You know, can you have that problem? And back before, that really would have bothered me. I slept like a baby. Because you know what? I'll deal with it tomorrow. The problem ain't going anywhere. So that was a real challenge we've had, and we continue to have. So it's where I've now got to get better as a business person. How do I plan? How do I project? And how do I... So that's an overall challenge, to be honest. And it is tough, don't get me wrong.
I love that, you know, when a challenge did come your way, you didn't stop and overthink about the challenge, but you were rather like, okay, what next? How do I get out of the challenge? And I think that is so important. Great advice there. And I think, you know, lastly, I would love to hear from you, Hammy, in terms of understanding what is like, you know, some advice that you would give to aspiring entrepreneurs, or if there's, you know, someone watching this that wants to open maybe their own restaurant or a business. What is, like, you know, like the biggest advice you would want to give them?
The biggest advice I would give to someone starting, I'll touch on fear, because I know that's what stops a lot of people. I will touch on fear. Many times, I don't know if anyone's listening to this that want to start a business, you were thinking, what is going to go wrong? What if I do this? What if I fail? What if this one? What if my friends laugh at me? What if I have no money to do this? But what I would advise is close your eyes for a second and just imagine it all works out. Just imagine that, okay, what if this business does take off? What if you do great in this? And try and imagine how happy would you feel in that moment. But also and it's going to sound counterproductive, do the complete opposite. And I do this a lot. Imagine the worst. What if you do fail? So what? Someone said that to me. An elderly pastor said that to me. What if you fail? So what? And that message never left my mind, because don't get me wrong, I still have fear. I still have that. So what if you fail? You're back to where you were. Why not go for it? So that's a big advice I would give to you. Try and imagine for a second that it actually works out. The second advice I would also give is you don't need to have all the answers. I see so many people, it's like, I'm going to start this business when I research this. I'm going to start this business. For the restaurant, the idea came at the end of April. We were open at the 4th of August. What on earth do I know about restaurant business? Nothing. But we've had to just learn ever since. So you don't need all the answers. You just need the first answer. Get the first answer, learn to get the second. You'll make mistakes, just take a step back. You learn. So that's my basic advice. Don't get trapped in researching and, oh, now I need to be a financial expert. I need to be a marketing expert. If you knew how little I knew, you'll have a lot of confidence to be able to go for it. So that would get be. And then the last one would be, many people get into this business or get into business because they want to make money. And money is the forefront of their mind. And don't get me wrong, have that before. We all want to make money. But what business would give you the most is the personality that comes along with it. That resilience mindset, that overcoming challenges. That's having a challenge and still smiling. Like on Tuesday, I had 2 back-to-back horrendous news. We were importing vegetables from Nigeria, first time we've ever done this. When it came, it all spoiled. The transport company had let water get all over it. The boxes were damaged. Thousands of pounds gone. Immediately right after, personal news came in. Horrendous news. And then I was short-staffed as well. So I've had to go into the restaurant to be a waiter. I smiled the entire way through, served customers, had great conversations. And I reflected on this yesterday where I said, if this was 4, 5, 6 months ago, that would have broken me. It would have shown on my face. I would have felt stressed. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I wasn't stressed or I wasn't heartbroken by it, but I was able to move on. And guess what? We're going to try the veg again. We're going to try it in a couple of weeks because we've learned our lesson. So that's what you develop the most from business. People think it's all the external thing, but no, you become a different person, because guess what life is? It's overcoming challenges. So why not get into business and learn how to overcome challenges?
Wow, Hammy, that's definitely like some great advice there, and truly inspired. I feel like if I got two bad newses back to back, I would break down and sit. But the fact that you were able to put that aside and still get to what's important, I think is such a big takeaway and so important. And I think some other takeaways have been from what you've said is never lose fun in life. Always have fun. Learn to walk before you can run. It's so important that we do take things step by step and give it one more go. You never know whether that one more go might be the big thing. And you always have to keep learning. And if you fail, so what? I think thank you so much for all this great advice, and the conversation's been amazing. And you've definitely tempted me now to try those like spicy chili dishes in Mama Bobo.
You might not find it too spicy.
I might not find it spicy. But it's been a great evening. Thank you so much for being here, Hammy.
Thank you very much. It's been a great interview as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Where can entrepreneurs go to for further information about accessing finance for their business?
So we know that understanding the many types of finance solutions that are out there can be challenging, and compared to even a decade ago, there are now so many alternative finance providers, from invoice finance specialists, crowdfunding and platform lenders. So I'd encourage any entrepreneur to go onto our finance hub. It offers up so much helpful information and guidance to help businesses find the support that they need. We recently launched our Making Business Finance Work For You guide, and you can find that in the hub, and it's designed to help businesses make an informed choice about accessing the right type of finance for their business. Or perhaps they're wanting to get under the bonnet and know more about a particular type of finance, for example, asset finance or angel investment, or maybe they want to understand more about the role that non-executive directors can play, or what is a business accelerator. There's so much information on the hub, so I would encourage everybody to have a look.
Can you tell us a bit more about startup loans?
Sure. Recognising that it can be challenging to get funding to help fuel your startup, the bank introduced the Startup Loans programme back in 2012, and these are government-backed personal loans for business purposes. So entrepreneurs can borrow from £500 right up to £25,000 with a fixed interest rate of 6%, and up to 4 partners in the business can each avail of these loans. So the loan is one part, but they also come with pre and post loan support. So helping you prepare to make your application, and then on receipt of a loan, the startups can also avail of 12 months of mentoring, access to our Learning with Startup loans in partnership with Open University, and lots of other online support. Since launching the programme, over £1 billion of startup loans have supported over 100,000 entrepreneurs right across the UK, and with 40% of those going to female founders, and actually 20% going to entrepreneurs from ethnic minority backgrounds. So the bank works with a network of business support partners right across the UK to deliver startup loans, and it's their business advisors who provide that critical support to applicants, so helping them prepare their business plans and their cash flow forecasts. And our partner here in Northern Ireland is Enterprise Northern Ireland, and you can visit the Startup Loans website to find out some more information.
These podcasts have been endorsed by Inclusive Entrepreneurship Northern Ireland. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. Inclusive Entrepreneurship Northern Ireland was a group that was formed following a report published by the bank in 2020. The report was called Alone Together, Entrepreneurship and Diversity in the UK, and it was really looking at the effects that ethnicity, economic background, gender and place have on entrepreneurial opportunities and outcomes. IENI, as I call it, itself is made up of a diverse group of individuals and organisations who are all really passionate about helping to improve and shape our support ecosystem, and in doing so helping to create a more inclusive and diverse community. We all meet regularly and we work together, from building our collective knowledge of best practices and sharing resources to encourage and help others through our Inclusive Entrepreneurship NI page, LinkedIn page. So right through to building a series of Intro to Finance webinars where we did a lot of jargon busting with lots of wonderful guest speakers, and they're actually sitting on the Inclusive Entrepreneurship NI's YouTube page. So it's really wonderful to collaborate with everyone in driving really impactful initiatives through Inclusive Entrepreneurship NI. And we're just very proud to be collaborating with EMEEN on these podcasts.